Okay. I know there are people still coming into the space, but we'll get started. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Medicine Buddha, or whatever is going to come out of my mouth about the Matrix tonight. That's the alternative. The alternative title. It's Medicine Buddha, or an hour-long commentary about the Matrix. I think I got the Matrix out of my system, though.
Oh.
But I did mention that this weekend in Toronto, some of you may have joined me Saturday for a workshop, and so I did give a few minutes. Well, there goes the drum. It's a sign that she's talking about the Matrix. It's a glitch in the Matrix that just happened, but I'm not going to go there.
Oh.
So again, welcome to those of you who are new to the space. I'm Lama Rod, and yeah, I'm living, teaching on the ancestral lands of the Creek and Muskogee Cherokee people here in Atlanta, and welcome to those who are new. You can, just post things in the chat, just, welcome or hello or greeting or something, so, completely up to you. Notice the Google Doc where you can post a prayer, and all the directions are on the sheet on the Google Doc. So I won't go into the instructions, but we'll offer prayers in our practice as well. And yeah, and you can, for those of you who are returning, feel free to just post a check-in, like how you're doing, how's your week looking, whatever it may be. Yeah. Right. And also, for those of you who are new, we also have a mantra practice that we're doing. That's a Buddha mantra practice, and there's a link to that Google Doc as well. And we're just not necessarily in our practice session, but some of us are practicing the mantra, outside of the space, just to deepen our connection to Medicine Buddha, to the energy, to the spirit of Medicine Buddha, to the consciousness, really, of Medicine Buddha. But the consciousness of Medicine Buddha is our consciousness, right? Is the expression of the essence, right? Of emptiness and space and energy, all of that, And we have most of our past recordings up on YouTube as well. So that's also a resource if you want to start from the beginning of the evolution of the space. And then a question here, can I talk about the traditional imagery of the Medicine Buddha? So if you look at the Google Doc, you can use that as an image. I have Medicine Buddha right here too. Or where's Medicine Buddha is actually over in the corner of Tonka, but so you'll see, Medicine Buddha appears as a blue Buddha. Blue often represents nature of mind, which is, again, the nature of all phenomena. So the nature of mind is the same nature of all phenomena, right? So you'll see that with Medicine Buddha, with a couple other Buddhas. I think I can't call them to mind, and you'll see Medicine Buddha draped in most representations like gold, monk's robes, and monk's robes and iconography means that there's been it really symbolizes discipline. It symbolizes renunciation. So for medicine Buddha to awaken, there has been this level of renunciation, which in my language, right, I say it's been this deep divestment from what is not conducive to liberation and a reinvestment in what is conducive to liberation, right, which is developing a deeper awareness of the nature of our minds and all phenomena. He has a bowl and a plant. So both of those, the bowl is full of medicine. The plant is an all-healing plant that is rising from his, I think, left hand, and he holds the bowl, I think, in his. The plant's coming from his right hand, bowl is in his left hand, I think. But those represent medicine, healing. Sitting on a lotus seat, which symbolizes, in many cases, non-duality. Of course, the lotus represents nature of mind and awakening as well. And yeah, those are the big images, just the big symbols in the imagery as well. And of course, iconography of all the Buddhas have a specific meaning. Sometimes they just kind of get made up, honestly. Like it's a Buddha has been represented in a certain way for a very long time, and so we just kind of make meaning out of it. A lot of this, I have to tell you, is just people making things up about what something means. Because every gesture has to mean something, right? So we just kind of go the extra mile to make it mean something. That is a rabbit hole in the tradition. I mean, you can get real deep into studying the meaning of symbols and iconographies and everything. And that's reflected in the ritual ceremony as well, that there's a precision that goes into Tibetan Buddhist ritual that often doesn't mean anything. There are things that definitely have a lot of meaning that we adhere to, but there are just things that, like, a teacher did something, used this hand to do something, and all of a sudden we all have to do that now. And that's really how ritual has become so precise. It's like we want to emulate our teachers. So if our teacher did something a certain way, then we do it a certain way. And in monastery, I came up with all of that. And I just got to a point where it's just like, I'm not actually trying to mimic, our teacher. Like, it's great that this is his favorite color, and that this is like what he likes to eat, and the music he likes to listen to. But quite frankly, that's not what I do. And you have to interrogate that a little bit. That's where a lot of cult behavior arises from, when you lose that kind of sense of self, right? And you take on the persona of the teacher or the leader, and you lose a sense of self, and you conflate your needs with that of the teacher or the leaders. And that just creates a really dangerous situation. And that's not devotion either. Devotion is for me, and you'll read this in New Saints when it comes out, but devotion is really like how the teacher reminds us that we have to consent to get free, and that the teacher has offered this profound path, and we're supposed to take that work and do that work for ourselves, right? Not fall in love with the teacher or the guru. I mean, you can have this profound love, but the work of getting free from delusion and suffering means that I have to do labor to cut through my own misunderstanding, my own delusion, and awaken like deep care, right, and clarity um, as well. Mimicking, mimicking the teacher isn't going to get you awakened, right? Mimicking anything isn't not going to get you awakened. It's not going to get you free. Um, but it's actually like coming into relationship with ourselves and learning how to let go uh, of harm and violence and delusion and everything and open into clarity and space. That's how we do the work for ourselves. But anyway, um, I think so much of what I do is really fluid. So I want you all to remember that you have this incredible agency, right? To make choices and practice, right? Um, let's see. Um, there was this well-known teacher. Well, she actually wasn't known. I knew her. I never met her, but she was known. Her name was Karma Wangmo. And really, we only know her because one of my elders actually wrote her biography. Uh, and so Karma Wangmo was a white female practitioner. She was like many people of her generation. I would say she was probably like, I don't know, late boomer, very late or a young boomer, maybe right before Gen X. Um, but for a lot of folks in her generation, she was in India in the 70s and traveling and, found Dharma and really got into it. She's from Arizona originally, and she came back here to the States and did a 12-year solitary retreat at Karmatriyana, uh, which is the big monastery up in Woodstock, New York, which is the main monastery in America for the Kagyu lineage. It's the Kamapa's seat in America. But she came back and did 12 years of retreat. Now, some of you may absolutely know of what we used to call her Anitenzin Palmo. But her name is Jetsuma Palmo. Now, and Jetsuma Palmo she was a British woman, a white British woman who's still alive. Jetsuma Palmo is still alive. Who, same situation, met all these teachers, became a nun, and did 12 years of retreat in India. I think it was India or Nepal. Maybe it was Tibet. So we say Jetsuma Palmo was the first Western practitioner to do a traditional 12-year solitary retreat, but also Karma Wangmo was right there as well. But Karma Wangmo isn't necessarily remembered because she didn't teach. She didn't take on the role of stepping into like the mainstream kind of Tibetan scene or to the convert Tibetan scene. She was very private and she lived on her boat. She was massage therapist. And the elder that I am connected to found out about her while she was in retreat and just became friends with her and got Karma Wangmo's permission to write her autobiography. And that's really important because that's really the only thing that we have left of her. So, but Karma Wangmo was very direct. If you think I'm direct, she was very like, no bullshit, very direct. And she has this saying, she has this teaching in the book where she talks about how, teachers can't explain anything because they actually have no idea what's happening. So to cover it all up, we just call it esoteric. you know? And I was like, I want to explain everything. And so I just kind of like found that to be a challenge. Like I'm gonna actually give language to as much as I can give language to and cut through a bunch of stuff that we don't need. Because we don't really have time to do all this studying and practicing and this and that. It's like the house is on fire. Like our houses are on fire. So let's get to the point. Let's get to emptiness now and start developing relationship to emptiness now so we can start transforming, right, this relative situation we find ourselves in. Yeah, the book on her, well, Oniten Palmo, or Jetsuma Palmo, is Cave in the Snow. That's her book. But the book on Karma Wangmo isn't available. It's just this thing that's circulated. And just the circles that I'm in. So it's like a self-published thing. So that's not a published thing yet. Yeah, okay. Once had a blue Buddha who looked particularly female. When I asked, was told, "Oh, Buddha doesn't care how they look, irrelevant." Good lesson. Yeah, it's good to see everyone. So we're gonna get started with practice pretty soon. Another question I was going to ask how important the melody and tempo of the mantra is. Should I be mimicking how Lama Rod does it? And I think I'm getting the question answered right now. Yeah, like in your personal practice, you can do whatever you want. Now, that's not the instructions that I got when I was training. So when I was training, it was like, do what the teacher does. Don't deviate. Because I was like creating new tunes for a lot of chants. Like I was like, it sounds so much better doing it in a show tune. Kind of thing. Like I just think that's much more interesting to do. But I was reprimanded in retreat. Someone heard me, singing some mantras to some tunes in Phantom of the Opera. And you know what happens with that. I wouldn't say retreat was queer. There ain't no happy pride in retreat, let me tell you. So we squashed that. That's when it became clear for me that, I just need to just do the program. I just need to do the program. I don't need to like innovate and rewrite stuff. I just need to do it as I have been given it. And then once I feel like there's been mastery, then I can change it up. And that's what's happened. And from this side, I can say, but actually the melody that I do is, the melody from the lineage. This is the melody that my teacher used with Medicine Buddha. So that's that. But when you're doing a mantra, I mean, you can chant and sing the mantra in your private practice, but really, I want you to explore just really fast mantras. You're just like ripping off mantras, like speed it up. Like there's a particular energy that arises when we get really locked in to saying mantra, in a particular speed or rapid speed. It's almost like you go into a trance, you go into a samadhi over time, but like it begins to, the mantra itself is attuning us to the frequency of Medicine Buddha's consciousness. And these consciousness, right, they're just very, like minute differences, like it's countless. We can attune to countless frequencies to connect to all kinds of beings, all kinds of mental like spaces. Well, what I mean specifically, like you can attune, like there are, we would say realms, but yeah, let's just say realms that are attuned to certain frequencies. You attune to it, right, and then you're able to access that realm. And I think that's one of the reasons that we can pass from the relative, and actually, in Buddhist, thought, you can be reborn into a heaven. Like you can get there because you've attuned to it. So the mantra is attuning us to not just Medicine Buddha, but Medicine Buddha's realm, which is a place that I like to go as well and take people. And some of you may do that already, because I know some of you are having profound journeys in the practice, and that's fine as well. Let's see. Lama Rod was really kind of. Okay, so there's a question. So the Medicine Buddha, so me, so it's me. I became the Buddha, as I often do, and that has been really helpful for me. And I'm glad that's helpful. I'm professional. I notice when I feel my late grandma or other invisible beloveds, it kind of feels like that. I am seeing you through their eyes. Huh. I was wondering if you could reflect on that for me. So that was interesting. Feel my late grandma, the other one, it kind of feels like that. I am seeing through their eyes. Huh. That's really interesting. Hmm. Seeing through their eyes. Okay. So maybe, huh, I think maybe what's happening is that, and it's pretty common in ancestral work, ancestral practice, that we develop these we strengthen rather, psychic connections to ancestors. And that in that connection, you begin to actually, I guess your mind and their mind mingles a little bit. So there's a way that they're living through you, and that becomes a way that you begin to live through them. Um, and that's how I've often journeyed into experiences of ancestors or back to certain periods of my ancestry, is actually through the minds of certain ancestors, right? And so they can do the same as well. There are practices where we can do a controlled channeling of not just ancestors, but any energy, but particularly ancestors. We can do what's called controlled channeling, which is kind of like a possession practice. And so basically what this means is that you give permission for another being to possess a certain part of your um, body or experience, but I would say body, you know, like, there, you can do practices where maybe a divination practice where maybe a being is trying to connect to you, and then you set up a controlled channeling where you only give permission to that being to possess your hands. And then it's with your hands that you maybe are able to communicate, and they're able to write things back through that. You can do it with technology. You can do it with your phones. Like if you're like typing a text or something, then you can ask them to slip in to do a message. And I've done that before. But basically, I think this is, Andy, you have the psychic connection. So you're actually having this kind of channeling possession moment where you're connecting to other beings, your grandmother being one of them. But you can reverse that too. It's like you can begin to, well, you're looking through their eyes, right, forward, but well, I'm not saying you should do this, but like I'm just, just throwing it out there that like you can explore that a little more as well. Like there are multiple ways to use these kinds of connections as well. Okay, it happens in your imagination. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's always I don't think it's always our imagination. You would be surprised at how much is actually happening that you just chalk up to over an active imagination. The medicine Buddha ancestors bring me to the future, the past when praying for me into different realms. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just very classic journey work. You know, that's yeah, yeah, journeying. Yeah, basic journeying. You know, the drum helps to do journeying work, right? It's brain waves and all this stuff that's being affected through drumming. And this is so much of the goal of ancestral work is to connect and to learn, to heal, to travel, to journey, to see things, experience things. It can be really, really beautiful. But then there's also the real labor of healing as well. So ancestral healing, requires also a lot of work as well. Okay, so let's get into practice. Do some practice. One fun thing to do with ancestors, like, whenever you've experienced something really nice, dedicate the energy to them. May all my ancestors experience pleasure and freedom through this pleasure that I'm experiencing now. It's called sympathetic joy practice. Is when we offer up everything that feels pleasurable. Um, this is such a beautiful healing practice that's so easy to really get into as well. Right? So just beginning and just settling into the space, calling your bodies to be present, noticing the space around you, just beginning to let go of the future, past, and just coming right into this moment and just noticing. what's happening in the moment, the sounds, the smells, the light texture, the temperature. So let these kinds of anchors, invite you back into what's happening, arising in this moment. Take a few deep breaths as well. Few deep cleansing breaths, breathing into the nose, out of the mouth. And as you exhale, imagine that the exhale is actually grounding you a little more into the seat under you. So every exhale is a deeper surrender to the seat, allowing the seat to really rise to take care of you. Just a reminder, as we move deeper into the practice, before we get super, super deep, just reminding you to add your prayer requests if you have one, before we get super, super deep into it. And I want you to shift your attention and reflect on Medicine Buddha. Even for those of you who are brand new, maybe this is your first session of anything with Medicine Buddha, still, whatever you've read or understand or anything that I've just mentioned, using that as a foundation to think about Medicine Buddha. What is Medicine Buddha? Who is Medicine Buddha, right? What do you feel when you see, a traditional image of Medicine Buddha, like the one we just explored? There's a kind of really profound blessing, I would say, but even more specifically, when I say blessing, I mean there's an openness, an expansion that can be triggered when we turn our attention to even just thinking about this traditional representation of Medicine Buddha, because this representation has been studied and drawn and meditated upon for hundreds of years. I would say even close to maybe 900 years, maybe 800 or 900 years in this lineage. So many beings, I believe, have experienced profound awakening, meditating on this image of Medicine Buddha. And what does it even feel like, or what is your experience of just allowing Medicine Buddha to awaken in your mind, like the image of Medicine Buddha begins to appear. And you can see this appearance, or you can just imagine, like you can just say, oh, I don't see Medicine Buddha, but I know that Medicine Buddha is awakening in my mind. And knowing that this awakening of Medicine Buddha is the same essence as our mind. Like Medicine Buddha is, we are Medicine Buddha, Medicine Buddha is us. We, all beings, all things, all phenomena arise from the same great emptiness and space. And the goal of Buddhism and liberation practice is to return back to that emptiness, is to remember that we are arising out of what is already fundamentally free and boundless. So again, when Medicine Buddha awakens in our minds, like Medicine Buddha in a real way is just awakening literally from our minds, not from over here or over there, but our minds are the ground or the primordial experience from which all phenomena arises, including the Buddhas. Doesn't it just like blow you away? Isn't it like the most intense, overwhelming thing ever to think that? Maybe not. What we're trying to do initially here is to like dissolve some of this distance, right, between ourselves and the deity. We are the deity, right? In this system, in Buddhism, we're already sacred and divine because we're already awakened, but we've forgotten that. We've gotten distracted with something else. And meditation is about returning our awareness back into the emptiness of all phenomena. And this emptiness is not void, it's not a coldness. There's no such thing as cold and void and emptiness because there's no such thing as, or there's no such thing as an experience of I or self that can experience voidness or coldness. Because when we attain enlightenment, we're remembering that we are expressions of this boundless emptiness of space, right? And that all this phenomena is just an illusion that we're creating, including the sense of self and I. So we're transcending all these binaries and dualities about this and that and up and down. You're just getting back, you're returning back to where we're already emanating from, consciously, knowingly. Because this kind of freedom is transcending all duality, which is so hard for us to fathom. Because we're in a relative situation, a relative illusion that's actually driven by duality. So who are we? What are we? What is the experience of existing beyond dualities. Who are we, if not dual? And that's only a question that can be answered through the experience of touching back into emptiness. Just a little longer here. Let's just keep really showing up in the space as much as possible before we continue. And the nature, right? The nature, the arising of Medicine Buddha as a thought, as an image, as an experience, right? Or just as a belief. Like all of that is valid, on this path. But the arising in any way of Medicine Buddha for us has to be an experience of just fluidity and openness, space, right? This is connecting to these really secret, subtle, very subtle, extremely subtle levels of really deep healing. Like we're really getting deep, into these kinds of states of mind, states of consciousness, right? Through the help of doing this kind of attunement to the Medicine Buddha. And so when you're ready, we're going to recite the opening mantra of the Medicine Buddha, Om Sange Kino Soha, which means, Medicine Buddha, please know me. And as always, the word kino, to know, we can use any kind of action verb that we need, or that feels much more authentic. So maybe it's not Medicine Buddha, think of me, but maybe Medicine Buddha, heal me, or Medicine Buddha, hold me. Medicine Buddha, reveal yourself to me. So the mantra itself becomes a prayer, as well as this tool of attunement, connecting us to the frequency of Medicine Buddha. I'm just gonna say this 3 times. Begin. Let's begin. We're going to begin with a just a long, sustained Then we'll do the mantra 3 times, and then we'll end it with another sustained Okay. We begin with Om La Sange Hino Soha Om La Sange Hino Soha Om La Sange Hino Soha. Just noticing anything that has shifted for you, mentally or physically, after our mantra. And so slowly, you know, again, turning our attention back to Medicine Buddha, however, Medicine Buddha is awakening for us. So turning your attention back to Medicine Buddha and beginning to imagine that Medicine Buddha begins to energetically irradiate through our bodies. As if there's this white radiance glow from the thought or the image of Medicine Buddha beginning to fill our bodies up, radiating throughout our whole bodies. And our bodies begin to be filled with light, like we are like stars or like a light bulb. We're just beginning to emanate this radiance into the space around us, like every pore of our bodies, our skins are just beaming with white light. And this light is slowly beginning to transform our physical bodies. It begins to purify our physical bodies. And slowly our physical bodies begin to actually dissolve in the radiance of this white light. And slowly we begin to re-arise as an image and representation of Medicine Buddha. And maybe you see yourself as this image of medicine Buddha, or you just have a thought, and that thought is, I am medicine Buddha. Both ways are fine. Both experiences are fine. And so from this space, ourselves as medicine Buddha, we begin to transition into our first round of mantras, or our main mantra. So as you're sitting or chanting, or you don't have to chant, you can just listen, but just in this space, just resting with the thought that you are medicine Buddha. We'll begin. O de ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Lazarus got this soa. De ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Lazarus got this soa. 대야다움 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라스스무간데소아 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 대야다움 백은세 Om Begenze, Begenze, Maha Begenze, Lazarus Soa, Deyada, 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 Om Begenze, Begenze, Maha Begenze, Lazarus Soa. Now shifting our attention to prayer requests, and as I offer the prayers, I invite you just to continue to rest within yourself, arising as the medicine Buddha. As always, we invite all of our benefactors into the space around us, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, all beings of light, angels, all the protectors and guardians of the land that we're on, and all the deities and protectors of the elements as well. We invite into this space, and we offer these prayers, and we ask these beings to work on our behalf to bring about the fruition of our prayers. And we're offering prayers for Bean, who had a heart attack recently. We're offering prayers for ease, comfort, and success for my sister as she continues cancer treatments. Offering prayers for myself, continued direction on relationships, clarity, wisdom, and guidance. And offering prayers for all beings, seen and unseen. Offering prayers for Melody, who recently entered the bardo, and her 3 children. Offering prayers for my dad as he recovers from his recent surgery. Offering prayers for Jordan as she starts chemo. Offering prayers for Carla and Francesca as they pursue a dream that feels just out of reach. May they act with integrity. May they be receptive as they are lovingly guided by their benefactors. Offering prayers for our upcoming move. May everything go smoothly and the next chapter of our lives be liberatory. Offering prayers for me as I deal with exhaustion and minor respiratory symptoms. And offering prayers for Kim that her heart and spirit feel well or feel. Offering prayers for me as I deal with various health issues. Offering prayers for Sanju as he has transitioned into the bardo, for the safety and well-being of Nina Rishi, for Bhumima, for Lama Rod, for all associated with Bhumi Sparsha. For me as I fight and possibly a virus that I return to, and pray for me as I fight and possibly a virus that I return to good health and don't need medication. Offering prayers for all beings in all realms and all timelines to reach full liberation and deep peace. And prayers that we all remember that everything is everything and we truly are. Michelle. Prayers for Diane as she comes out of a scary health episode. We're offering prayers for Michelle that she is able to find balance and steadiness with her work. Offering prayers of courage and support for me as I let myself be vulnerable and open and asking for help from friends and strangers. Offering prayers for my partner and I to build a strong foundation of peace and care for each other and for the land that is becoming our home for work in the world, that we find healing for ourselves, one another, and all beings, doing no harm or as little harm as possible, awakening greater and greater compassion. Offering prayers for my circle of friends with chronic pain, illness, and disability. May all people living with difficulties be supported. Prayers of deep gratitude for all my beloveds, prayers that they all have all the support that they need. Prayers to break out of this trance. Offering prayers for Auntie B, her husband, and the entire family system as we learn to navigate the severe mental health crisis she is experiencing. May we meet what is with grace and compassion, and may lineages of harm be acknowledged, disrupted, and healed. Prayers for my father. May we find a way to deepen authentic experiences of care and nourishment. Offering prayers for all caregivers. May they be restored and reminded of their wholeness and worthiness. May they too receive the compassion that they need. Offering prayers of deep gratitude for this Sangha that we all have all we need to continue stepping forward into the unknown and to love. Prayers of outrageous support for me as I let so many of my past important fields lay fallow to see what new emerges. These fields I've relied on for decades. And offering prayers of gratitude to all my invisible beloveds, thank you for holding and supporting me. I'm still moving forward into the unknowns, and I fear you will no longer be there, but I wish to let go of that fear. Prayers for my teen disabled daughter that she finds all she needs and is able to enjoy the world on her own terms, and may she find and grow her own community of beloveds. Prayers for the health of myself and my baby as I move through this pregnancy. May the collective energy of all Black mothers harmed by medical racism protect, uplift, and sweep. Prayers, offering prayers for those struggling with addictions, prayers for trans kids, prayers for all unseen beings, prayers for all self-love, and prayers for self-love. Offering prayers to Medicine Buddha, please grant me the strength and clarity to keep healing myself so that I can continue to heal others without harming myself. And offering prayers to the great Kagyu Lama Drongo Rinpoche. And we continue to offer um, oops, sorry you all. I've gotten a little confused. So let me just back a little bit. Okay, I have a few more prayers. Continue to offer prayers for those struggling with addictions, prayers for trans kids, prayers for all unseen beings, offering prayers for self-love, um, offering prayers to Ham and Hadi, prayers for the great Kagyu Lama Changra Rinpoche who passed away last week, prayers for ease as I move through the death layer, offering prayers for Ada, Orion, Kara, Siggy, and for Gabriel, Mona, Daya, Olea. May they be protected from trans hate and may they experience liberation from suffering. May they feel loved and at peace. Offering prayers for Shai Eisenberg, calling in hospice today to help make decisions about his soul's movement into other realms. For his beloved wife, Bahira Sugarman, in this difficult but loving time. Father Bailey, for Tom Crana and Tom P, for my children and their children. Offering prayers for myself with various health issues, but most especially discernment about changes I need to make for self-care, and deep discernment about best use of my time and talents in service to my wholeness and for others. Offering prayers for my beloved, may they be free, at ease, and protected always. Prayers for Brian that he may feel accepted, whole, and safe enough to be in relationship to fellow human beings with fierce courage and peace. Offering prayers for all EDS patients like myself. Prayers for myself as last week my spine became compromised at risk of paralysis. Offering prayers for Tina Turner as she passes through the bardo. Ashe. Okay. And we offer all the prayers that still remain unspoken. We offer all the prayers that may have been missed in my reading. We continue to offer prayers for the complete abolition of all systems of violence and harm that prevent many of us from experiencing the deepest well-being, happiness, and joy, as well as safety and access to resources, and ultimately freedom and liberation. May all these systems, institutions, false ideas, all the hate, all the rigidity be completely abolished, dissolved into the nature of emptiness itself. And may we all attain our liberation as quickly as possible. And as we turn back into our mantras, just imagining that you, as Medicine Buddha, you begin to radiate brilliantly, intensely into the world around you, into the world around us. And that radiance begins to purify, to ground, to heal everything and everyone that needs healing and grounding. It begins to liberate those who need to be liberated, but it begins to transform this world into the pure world, the pure realm of Medicine Buddha. A world free from suffering, a world where all beings are free, and a world where all beings know and understand their fundamental nature. O te ata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga te soa. Te ata begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumunga te soa. Te ata begenze, begenze, maha begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, maha begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, maha begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumugate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate zoa. Te ada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumagate 백은제 마백은제 라스수무가테소아 대하다 백은제 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 백은제 마백은제 라스수무가테소아. So we return our attention back to ourselves as Medicine Buddha. We begin to imagine that our forms as Medicine Buddha, and even the thought that we are Medicine Buddha, begin to dissolve into white light or just dissolve slowly in our minds. And then our awareness slowly begins to mingle with emptiness itself. And we just rest our awareness with an emptiness, with no focus, nothing, just openness, spaciousness, boundless awareness. When you're ready, allowing your body to slowly reform, allow your physical self to come back into this timeline, and shifting your attention down to the seat and the weight of your body making contact with the seat. When you're ready, beginning to slowly reawaken the body through some slow, simple movements, maybe a few deep breaths. And we'll transition into Shanti Deva's prayer, which we'll recite 3 times. And that's right in the chat box. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. All right, thank you all so much for your practice as well. And and if you would like to join myself and Tara Brock on Wednesday for a program that I had forgotten that I was doing until I saw an ad for it. And believe me, it's not the first time this has happened. So Tara and I are doing a dialogue or a talk together on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's through Natural Dharma Fellowship. You will not find it on my website as I forgot that that was even happening. So, surprise, surprise. So, Natural Dharma Fellowship, you can sign up for the events. And yeah, I think that's it for me this week. And I will see you all again next week as well. Um, the secret show, it was a secret to me as well. So, so secret that no one knew anything about it on my end. So I'm like, when did I say I was gonna do this? I used to be one of the guiding teachers for Natural Dharma Fellowship. So it's just like family. It's just like extended family. Um, okay, I think yeah. So take a look at it. Times. I mean, I definitely had to. I don't know what Dharma at the movies means actually, because it's not a movie, unless I'm expected to talk about Matrix. I don't know. Um, so anyway, thank you all for those, particularly for those who are new. I hope this was a blessing, and I'll see you all next week, if not before then. Okay. All right, and thank you to everyone from Toronto who joined us tonight. I was in Toronto teaching Saturday, and we had a blast. By blast, meaning that we were all overwhelmed by the teaching. So that's what I meant. Okay, so thank you, and see you next week. Okay, bye.